Hello and welcome to the Mental Health Gaming Podcast. As usual, I'm Bradley, and this week I'm joined by Stu
Hey up.
and no Ben this week, and we'll reveal more at a later date with regards to that. So, yeah, interesting week just gone, I suppose. Obviously, since our last recording, coronavirus has gone all over the shop. It's spread. There's people panic buying and stockpiling and stuff like that. So it's been an interesting week. But before we get to that kind of thing, we love games. So what have you been playing, Stu?
First off, an update on Beautiful Desolation, which listeners may remember I was talking about last week. Unfortunately, I've had to give up on it. I've put 5 hours into it, which I think is a fair length to get an idea of whether you're going to love something or not. And it's a really well put together game. It's just one of those that's not for me. There's a little bit too much traversal and taking in the atmosphere and looking at the lovely scenery versus the amount of interactions that you have. And for some people, they really, really love that. For me, I don't, unfortunately. So I've dropped it, but I'm really glad that I backed it on Kickstarter because it needed I think it was $120,000 to be successful, and it made 138. So it kind of just scraped over the line.
So the 18,000 you put in.
that was definitely the differentiator. Yeah. The reason the brothers who created it live in a mansion now is entirely down to me. I think it's fair to say.
So the $18,001, sorry, just to make sure it got over the 120.
That's it. Yeah, I think I kicked in. I think it was about $15. Yeah, it's about £12.50 or something like that. So it's one of those things. Happy to back, happy it exists, but it's just not for me.
I've done that recently. I say recently, game days ago. I think it was Walken. It ended up turning into Lords or something, whatever. And I like the look of it when I had a PC, and I backed it for about £15. And it ended up coming out after I'd lost my PC and couldn't afford a new one. And it's out and it's doing really well, and I'm sort of really glad it's doing well. It's like a Diablo-esque type game, I think. But I'm probably never going to get round to playing it. But I'm glad it saw the light of the day, and I was able to help make that happen. There's that sense of I'm trying to think what the right word. It's not accomplishment, but it's that sense of making sure something's been born into this world, and that it's people are going to enjoy it, and you've had a hand in that. It's really it feels really nice.
Yeah, and it's easy to be sort of cynical about things when you go, oh yeah, they all produce these Kickstarter videos where it's a couple of struggling artists and they really want to get this game to the table. But actually, in a lot of cases, it really seems like it's true. Like if you follow the guys on Twitter, you get to see what they're really thinking, and yeah, they're kind of living the life that they're actually saying they are in their design schematic. So yeah, it is nice to back them.
I think Kickstarter, there's so many of those projects that just about make it. And I think I like hearing about those. And as you said, you've played it for 5 hours. It didn't end up being for you. And yeah, that's fine.
And apart from that, I completed Halo Combat Evolved Anniversary. So that's part of the Master Chief Collection that they've re-released. So it came out on Xbox a few years ago. Quite controversial because the conversion slash reinterpretation slash remake had some fairly serious issues, as I understand it. So it's arrived on the PC. It's on PC Game Pass. And there are some issues, but none for me that got in the way of playing the game and enjoying it again. And the thing that really obviously stands out immediately is how little that initial design of Halo has been iterated on over the years, either by Bungie or 343 Industries, who took over the franchise, or any other games, really. It really stands alone as a unique experience, even nearly 20 years on. It's unbelievable. So it stands up even today, and if you've not played it for a long time, definitely recommend.
There's something really special about Halo, the original one.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, it is. What really jumps out is how nervous and sort of recalcitrant the AAA market seems to have got around first-person shooters. Because Halo sort of, you can spend a fair bit of time just walking through these sort of cyclopean, gigantic environments where there's nothing happening. You're just experiencing being in the world, and it trusts that the player will still enjoy that. It's big enough so that when you're driving around it in a warthog or whatever, that feels great. But also when you're silently sort of traversing and wondering what's going to be around the next corner, or when you drop into a bunker, what's going to be waiting for you. Those sorts of things happen all the time in it, as well as
Yeah.
pitch battles that last for like 10 minutes that are completely breathless.
Yeah.
There are no games these days in that genre that I know of. If I'm wrong, correct me, but there are none in that genre that trust that the audience is not going to get bored. So they're more like, corridors where you can't continuously in cover, out of cover, and then there are enemies coming. And there's nothing wrong with that per se, but there is a huge gap in the market, I think, for something that trusts you.
So what I will say there with you, and it's not a full correction as such, but I've been playing a game recently, and it stood out to me a little bit. Is the Animal Crossing spin-off title Doom? As it's, if you know your memes and everything. But I've been playing Doom 2016, and that does that to a degree. Now, obviously not to the scale of Halo, because everything you need to feel claustrophobic in Doom. But you have the big, almost arena-y style set pieces that go on, and you're just the enemies coming from everywhere, and you're shooting them. But there are moments of peace in there where you go from area to area, and it encourages you to explore in areas.
Now, I had a really good think about all the other FPSs that have impressed me, and thinking about sort of Doom and Doom 2016 and the legacy of that. And you've got like Quake and Quake 2, which sort of brought in that. I think they were the ones that brought in the mouse look so that you
Mm.
had much more verticality. And Doom 2016 is very much like that. But how I think about them is they're like, um, I'd say they're like early 90s shooters, platform shooters in 2D, like, I don't know, like Contra or
Mm.
elevator action, or even RoboCop, that sort of thing, but transplanted into 3D. Apart from that, I think we struggle a little bit to have some innovation.
And keeping our finger on the modern pulse, you've been playing one other title, I believe.
I have. Oh yeah, now this is so modern that it's on a system that came out in 1985, I think it was. So it's a game called Rikki Vikki. It's a puzzle platformer, and the guy who developed it on his own decided to develop it for the Atari 7800 and create something brand new for something that old. And he's made what I think everybody recognizes to be by far the best game on the system. I'm playing it through Steam. It's available on Steam, but you can buy it from him as a cartridge if you've actually got one of the 7800s, of the five that actually got sold. And what you do is you control a character or two if you want to play it in two player at the same time. It's very similar to Puzzle Bobble in that it's all on a single screen, and you have to move blocks around to solve puzzles and to get out of areas and retrieve keys. So very similar, but it's actually a little bit more sophisticated than Puzzle Bobble, because the enemies aren't just there to kill you, they actually form some of the traps and some of the solutions. I won't go into the intricacies of it because people can discover them for themselves, but it's really lovely looking. I was quite shocked at how many it only does like 24 colors, I think, but
Yeah.
the way that they're presented on screen is really charming, very attractive. It's got a distinct 8-bit look to it, but like top end of 8-bit. And the game itself is tuned pretty much to perfection. There's some annoying bits where pixel perfect jumping's needed, and some you can get stuck in some trap loops, which would have needed a little bit more playtesting. But I've played it for dozens of hours because it's really hard. Not Super Meat Boy hard, but much harder than like Puzzle Bobble.
Mm.
But very rewarding and very enjoyable. So if you get the opportunity, check it out on Steam. That's Rikki Vikki for the Atari 7800.
So I've been playing just one game. I got sent review code for Murder by Numbers. And the review is on the site if you want to check it out, which is a genre mashup of visual novel and Picross. It's set in the mid 90s in Hollywood. You take the part of Hana Mizrahi, who is an actress in a TV show called Murder Mystery, and she gets fired from a job, and the guy who fires her gets murdered a few minutes later, and then she's embroiled in trying to solve who murdered him, why, because she's a suspect. But yeah, you get embroiled in this murder mystery. You have to do investigating of scenes, questioning of suspects, that kind of thing. You scan a scene, you get a trigger to go, hey, there's something here. You press it, and to uncover clues, you solve pit cross puzzles. The cast within it are really well done. Some of the characters are really likable, others are annoying, some you just outright dislike. Honor Mizrahi is quite possibly my favourite new character of a generation. She has moments where you just go, ugh, I would. Why are you saying that? That's not the sort of thing you should be saying. But not in a this is a character. This is a poorly written way. It's just like, yeah, that's something I could, as a character she's built, I can imagine she would say that. It's not the right thing for her to say, but I can imagine she would say that. And it's just really good. And what happens is the other characters around her are more caricaturist. And I think that helps with her character building as well. It's just really, really good. And I said, yeah, the game itself is absolutely outstanding. If you do like pit cross titles, then you should be getting it. It is outstanding.
What platform is that on? Sorry, Brad.
It's on Switch and PC at the moment.
Because I'm really intrigued now based on that.
Yeah, it's just been absolutely dominating my time over the past week or so. So yeah, absolutely outstanding. Murder by Numbers. So, do we want to keep on a happy theme, or shall we go for all out apocalypse?
Well, I think we'll go all out apocalypse first, and then we can end on the things that are helping us get through it.
Yeah, let's talk COVID-19.
I don't know how you feel about it, but it's such a weird thing to be in the middle of. It's not anything I've kind of really experienced before, and you're kind of caught between, preparedness. So you want to be prepared both mentally and, logistically in terms of where you need to be, where you're going to work, food situation, seeing family, but also not panicking about it and not going too far. It feels like a really hard balance to strike. So I think that's the first thing to deal with. So where's your balance at the moment as of today?
On a personal level, I'm just trying to get on with everyday life, and I'm more worried about the other little things around rather than coronavirus itself, if that makes sense. I want to make sure my family are okay and everyone I know is okay, and I'm doing the washing hands thing that you need to do. Yeah, I'm not super worried. I'm not in a panic, but I'm heightened, I'll say.
Yeah, me too. Because I think if it was just down to me and thinking about myself, then it wouldn't bother me in any way, shape, or form, really. But it's when I think about, the people that I care about and what I can do for them, that it starts to worry me. And it's not had like a really detrimental impact on my mental health, but it really is that friction between, am I caring enough or am I caring too much, or am I fretting rather than just being prepared and concerned? Because my mum's not young, she's 77 this year, and that's where my main concern is. It's kind of out there rather than in here. And what kind of causes more friction is when you hear our government being either flippant or unprepared, or how it exposes any flaws in the health service and that sort of thing. And you're like, oh my God, what would happen in this scenario, kind of thing. And that's where the fret comes in. So you're battling with yourself then not to become too fretful. And I think it gives a really good example of how the government really needs to take the lead and tell you how much and exactly what you should be doing and preparing.
Yep, the government could be a lot clearer on what it's doing. There is a lot of confusion, but I also think a lot of that is coming from social media. And the whole idea, we're happy to listen to Deirdre from accounts on what her take on coronavirus is and what it's going to do, but we're quite willing to shut up the experts when it comes to it. And we've been seeing on the news, the likes of Trump and Johnson contradicting seconds later what a health expert has just advised them. And that causes a panic. I get more worried listening to that guy. If this does hit properly, we're not going to deal with it because no one's got a clue. Than I have if we was in a situation like China got to or Italy's in now. I'd almost much rather be in that where it's hit big time and they're dealt with it than the unknown we're in at the moment.
Yeah, knowledge is always better than doubt and uncertainty.
What actually really got me really, really anxious was the other day. I had to go to Tesco to get a bit of dinner in. So I went and we needed loo roll, and we usually buy it in a pack of 4. Go to Tesco's, get most of the bits, go down the aisle, and the only toilet roll left, a massive jumbo packs of 24. I was like crying out loud. Right, okay, so I buy that. That's all fine. Get on the bus. The bus driver turns around and goes, "Oh, we stockpiling, are we?" And I sat there the entire bus journey home going, "People are judging me. People are judging me. People are judging me. Why? I should have just not got any. I should have just done without it. People are judging me." And that's what affects me more is that side of it, is that on the personal level, on how people are reacting to things, on how they're going to react to me. And I know that's selfish, but that's affecting me more than the overall potential disaster of the entire thing.
No, I totally get it because it doesn't matter what's happening, whether a nuclear bomb's about to drop or whatever. Until that moment happens, you've just got to carry on your life as you normally would
Yeah,
because it's the only way society functions. And it it hasn't it hasn't had this gigantic effect on my mental health, but it's one of those things where it does impact it because it's constantly there in your mind and you're thinking, you know, well, is my not falling into that panic, which I'm not, of getting stuff, is that useful to society? Is it useful to me? Is it the right choice? And it's
yeah.
like, well, it probably is, but it's not stopping other people doing it, and therefore I'm now fretting about what they're doing and the way they're impacting my life. So you can't. It's inescapable, isn't it? The whole COVID-19 thing. It's going to impact you no matter what. And yeah, I'm just trying to cope with it however best I can and try not to fret too much. And hope, yeah,
It's one of the reasons I'm a big fan of comedy. We like watching The Last Leg on a Friday. I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, and I know it's not exactly the highest brow comedy. They make light of it in such a way, it's that kind of thing that got me through the whole Brexit thing as well, that you just had to laugh at some of it. Obviously, out of that side, what have you been doing to, say, circumvent that, to sort of like turn the negatives that we're seeing with COVID-19 into some more positives?
yeah. It's always good to have something going on in your life that's that you can rely on and reliably makes you happy. And one of them's creativity, which I'll talk about at a different time. But in terms of entertainment, basically YouTube and YouTube creators, these people who are doing things that are really fantastic, really entertaining, and they're really niche, but they're constant and they're always there. So, for example, I watch a lot of people doing restorations, and it's taking things that are solid and old and unloved and just sort of titivating them and making them like new or better than new, and create people who create things from scratch out of wood, people who restore old cars, and just that sheer unbridled creativity is brilliant. I mean, I think we'll all remember like when we were kids, when you would watch a program that you thought was going to be rubbish or boring, about it was like a documentary about somebody's life or about something that they were interested in, a hobby of their own, and you became obsessed with it, and it was either a one-off or like a short series, and it'd stick with you, and then you'd hope for more of those kinds of programs, and you'd obsessively watch Tomorrow's World or whatever, or stuff about steam engines, and then like that would be it for a year or 2 years, or you never even see something like that again. But with YouTube, you can pick something like that and you can see it every single day, are brand new from different
Yeah.
people. And by and large, they're really nice, normal individuals just doing something creative and non-destructive and hoping that that will please other people as well. And it is a really good thing for your mental health, especially in a disposable society.
Yeah, I agree. I love going down a YouTube rabbit hole. I'm glad you brought this up because yesterday, before we took my son to ice hockey, we was watching The Chase, and a question came up that was which equine toy was released in 1983 by Hasbro. And the Chase didn't get it, and they were discussing, I went, that's My Little Pony. And it was right. And partner goes, how on earth did you know that? Did you have it? And I jokingly went, yeah, I was a brony. And she went, what on earth is a brony? So I explained to her what that is. And she done that kind of, I think, thing you do initially from, of course, that era. Boys playing with My Little Pony. Are you sure? That's a bit weird. And I was like, we started having a little chat about it. And I'm saying, no, I think it's absolutely wonderful that there's people who get so into this stuff. It doesn't matter what it is. It's the same as people who do cosplay, people who absolutely adore trains and planes and the spotters, the people we used to mock when you're a child, and especially like again during the 80s and 90s for not being cool. But I love those people. Their passion is so illuminating. I've recently got into watching Barry Lewis, and his passion for like kitchen gadgets and stuff like that is so infectious. It really is, and I love watching those kind of things.
Yeah, I agree. When you get the combination of somebody who knows tons about a subject and they're passionate and they're good at being a presenter, it's just the perfect mix. And it's a bit of an antidote to, just watching fiction, which is great, but you like a little bit of balance in your life and you like to see something that's quote unquote real, and
Yeah,
seeing real people do normal things really well, is just great.
but as an aside to that as well, it's really weird. It's have you seen the Flat Earthers documentary on Netflix?
Yes, I have. Yeah, yeah, I have seen that.
Right. Now the flat earthers are insane. I'm not gonna sugarcoat that in any way, shape, or form. They are insane. But I still watched it, and at the end of it, I just went, do you know what? I can respect them because they're wrong. They are inherently wrong, but the passion they have, it's just like, yeah, I wish I had passion for something like you did. It's just heartwarming in a way to see the passion they have and are willing to go through to live that life.
It's important not to demonize, definitely. Yeah, people can perhaps direct their passions in a direction that is not necessarily right, but I know what you mean. It's still good to watch non-judgmentally and
Yes.
yeah, try and
No, exactly. Yeah, trying to put that in the right way. That I'm not going, hey, I agree with flat earthers and they're safe and enjoy them because like I said their message
yeah,
at a time, a lot of them is very dangerous. I'm trying
yeah,
to undo actual science, but yeah, the point is passion is amazing
definitely.
to see. But talking of passion, was it January 2019? I took over coaching my son's football team. I've just found that it's been something that I can really channel my energy into. And again, in a the way we talked about people when they got a passion for something, what I tend to find there was a stage where I felt miserable because I was worried about letting the kids down if like my personal life started going wrong and I wanted to walk away from it because I didn't feel I could give enough to it. But it's given me a focus that has been wonderful for my own mental health because when I'm having a positive impact on them, it just makes you feel really warm inside. And it actually gives me a purpose that I was probably for a few years missing. And what this has done, it's given me something that shows I have got worth. I don't want to say it's turned my life around, but it's given me a refocus that I felt was missing a few years back that is really back now.
That's fantastic. No, it's really good to hear. It's one thing to sort of, you know, I think you mentioned last week, or perhaps it was off air, about how it's very hard to calibrate how well you're doing about something because in
Yeah.
life you very rarely, as an adult, get feedback for what you're doing. If you're doing a good job in work, it's just normally the fact that you're staying in that job is your reward rather than being singled out for any particular praise. And when you're doing something like coaching, you're not only seeing the results that's good for you, as in, the kids doing well and how they improve in themselves and their confidence getting better and their interactivity improving. And it sounds like just this excellent feedback loop of everything that you would like to happen in an ideal world, really. And I think it's a fairly rare thing, unfortunately, but it's great that it's happened for you. It really is.
Yeah, and what's really good as well, when you hear something from the kids that is positive, you get those little positive feedbacks, and it goes, right, okay, I'm going to put more into this, or we're going to go try even harder, and you want to do it rather than you generally only with a lot of things you only ever get feedback when it's negative. Depending on the type of person you are, when you get negative feedback, you might not kick on from that properly. And different people react in different ways. I've been learning a lot about myself and again, how to deal with different people because in a football team, especially with kids, you really learn how you have to deal with different people in different ways. And the rewards of when you learn how to do that, again, are immediate. I've got sort of like one kid who I've really got to almost put my arm around him all the time. Otherwise, his head drops and, he feels bad. Whereas I've got another kid where I can happily mock him. I can turn around and, like, when we're going, have you got your starting lineup? I'll go, yeah, you're not playing because you asked and stuff like that. And he'll take that as a joke and he'll kick on from it and get a smile. So it's learning how to deal with that in a microclimate of all those kids has helped me do that better in life as well. And it's just, yeah, it's just really interesting to see how it's helped me. And it sounds almost mushy and cliche to go, what I'm doing for the kids is great, but it's almost what the kids are doing for me without knowing is even better.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And I think the best teachers that you have in your life that you remember from the past or who are still in your life recognize you as an individual and what your individual needs are. And it sounds as though you're doing that. You're picking out the things that the kids need individually rather than just treating them as a unit, recognizing that different kids need different speeds of response and different, encouragement techniques. I think that's really important. And it sounds like you've nailed it. So yeah, nice one.
And again, I think that comes down to how we deal with mental health. We learn that some people are happy to talk about things and can be quite open about it. Other people don't. They have to express themselves in a different way. I think I've said before with my partner, sometimes she knows when she's got to be on eggshells around me. Other times she knows when she has to tell me just to wake up and get a grip. Now, telling someone to man up or to get a grip or to cheer up is always seen as a negative. When you see mental health discussion, that's seen as a negative. You never tell someone who suffers mental health that just cheer up. But at the same time, for certain individuals, that might work. It might just give them just a calibration for a moment that snaps them out of something. And again, it's not a catch-all. You don't have this catch-all situation where one solution works for every single person. And for what is considered best practice will work for a huge amount of people. But sometimes you've got to really step back and go, right, for these one or two, this is how we've got to do it differently. And again, I say it's amazing. It's something I've really learned by working with the kids in this environment.
Excellent. Long may it continue then.
I'm actually in the middle of trying to pen an article and trying to find the right words with regards to mental health, where we talk like the phrase you often see on with the hashtags. It's okay not to be okay. But one of the things that got me thinking about with mental health, and it's almost a taboo subject. It's okay to be okay. It's
Yeah.
it's not very often when we talk about mental health do we talk about the positive sides of it, or when you do have a week or even a month or something like that where it's all gone well. We don't talk about that. I don't know if it's a guilt thing or something like that. And I'm trying to find the right words for my article that I'm writing. And I've been writing it for about a week so far. So but yeah, when the positives do happen, we need to grasp them as much as we can. And I love hearing about other people's positiveness as well, because it gives you like, it's not all doom and gloom. So if anything from this, I'm hoping that the positiveness of this one will help someone else at some point as well.
For sure. Yeah.
So have you got anything else to add, Stu?
Only that, yeah, no, I agree that, guilt can be you can have people who are absolutely fantastic people and you never know that they're just feeling guilty for failing all the time. And you're like, but you're not failing. You're brilliant. Everybody loves you. It's really obvious, but that doesn't change how they feel. And so, yeah, positive reinforcement enforcement is very important. People who are being positive are invaluable. It's great when they find the things in life that enable them to do that. Definitely.
Excellent. And just to finally, just to bring it back round to games before we go, just briefly. Obviously, Animal Crossing comes out on the 20th of March. Doom Eternal comes out on the 20th of March. We've been talking about creativity. If you want just to smile and laugh, just go on the internet and look for all the fan art crossover creative memes to do with the Animal Crossing Doom Eternal loving, both from fans of the games and the creators of the games themselves. It is just wonderful to see two such opposing game styles merging together because they're coming out on the same day. It is just brilliant. Absolutely brilliant to see.
It is. Yeah, it's really good.
But yeah, so that's been the podcast for another week. I'm still trying to work out the best way to do an outro for these. So like, subscribe, share everything you can, whether you see this on YouTube, if you're listening to it on your podcast provider, if you listen to it on the website, share it on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Is that the latest one? Whatever that is. Talk about it there. Press the red buttons and everything. I'm not good with that, but do all that. Any feedback is welcome. And until next week, goodbye.